So I'm going to ask you all to write in the chat, what is the most AI sounding thing that someone has said to you this week? Oh, Leah, yeah, that is a very real issue about AI at the moment is the lack of security and all of that. Amy, hello, Amy. I'm sick of hearing it from AI. Yeah, people are looking for, they want to know what's authentic, what's the truth. I know you can make that. I like that, Hannah. We hear that a lot. I get emails from spammers who address me as CPOCD. I don't know what CPOCD means, but I'll ask you again later when we get to the questions part of today. Okay, so before we start, I just wanted to start off by saying that when I talk or give a workshop or a presentation on social media, the first thing that I tell everybody is what's true today might not be true tomorrow, right? The landscape of digital marketing moves so incredibly quickly, and there are so many changes and updates all the time, different updates on different platforms, that seriously what I tell you today might not be true tomorrow. And when it comes to AI, that is accelerated, exacerbated to a whole nother level. What I tell you now might not even be true in 10 minutes, 5 minutes, because the tool that was the best tool today to do X, Y, and Z is suddenly overtaken by the tool that was just clunking along yesterday. And they're all coming up with new things so quickly and so fast that what I'm telling you now is true for now. I can't promise you that it's going to be true even for tomorrow morning. Okay. So AI isn't really the problem. Losing yourself in AI is the problem. And there are two dimensions to this. The first part is that the landscape is so overwhelming. There are so many tools and so many updates and changes in the tools that sometimes you don't know where to look first. You almost become like a deer in the headlights. You just like freeze because you just don't know. It's just too much. So you just rather wouldn't do anything, or you spend your whole time trying to keep up and catch up that you lose yourself in it. The second part is losing your authenticity, losing your voice, losing who are you, because you're just taking whatever output you get and you're sharing that as your own. And so that's more or less what we're going to be talking about tonight is the content side and not really the tools out there side. I also want to just let you all know that I'm sharing this from a content marketing perspective. I'm not going to be talking about tools like Fathom AI, and there are a million AI tools out there. The ones that I'm going to be talking about are totally content marketing focused. Okay, so when it comes to AI, we talk about efficiency versus authenticity, speed versus depth, and automation versus connection. Like this is where that getting lost is, somewhere between all of these. And hopefully tonight you will leave understanding more on how to use AI without sounding like AI, to use it in a way that you still keep your authentic voice. And that you don't get lost in the efficiency versus authenticity, the speed versus depth, and the automation versus connection. Okay, what is AI actually? So AI is a pattern recognizer. It doesn't think as such. It bases all its knowledge on what it's been trained. So whatever's out there already. So let's say, I don't know, 10 million people have said A plus B equals C. When you go and ask for A plus B, it's going to give you C. But if you go and ask for A plus Z, it's not always going to know that the answer is actually A, B, C, D, E, whatever, till the end of the alphabet. And so it recognizes patterns, but it doesn't think as such, and it has limited experience. Let's put it that way. It's a speed amplifier. We are all working much more efficiently and much faster today. And it's also a thinking partner. It's a tool that we can use to like bounce off ideas, to help us fine tune, to help us brainstorm. It's like you would have a conversation, let's say, with somebody. If you want to write a piece of content, let's say, and you have 5 ideas and you just want to talk it out, you can do it now with AI. What it's not, it's definitely not your voice. Even though we say you train the AI tool in your voice, it's only as good as what you've trained it. So while you can train it in your voice, it's not really your whole voice. It's part of your voice. If you're using AI for business, you're training it in your business voice. If you're using it for, I don't know, if you're a teacher and you're using it to teach, you're using it in your teaching voice. It will never be able to emulate all of you, right? Not your lived experience, not your discernment, and not your values. And again, we say that when we train AI, we also train it on what our values are, but it's also only to a point. It can only regurgitate, or it can only base the output on the values that we have shared with it. If they're values that we haven't shared, it's not going to be able to understand that, and it's not going to be able to share accordingly. So AI can scale you, but it cannot replace you unless you let it. I hear over and over and over and over again, people are scared of AI. They're resisting AI. They don't want anything to do with it. It compromises their authenticity or the credibility as whatever it is, an expert in whatever the field is. And the truth is that AI cannot replace you unless you let it. And only by not embracing it, by rejecting it, and not by using it to up your game and to sharpen your skills, will it replace you. So it's not that AI is replacing you. You've made a choice not to learn and grow, and then it will replace you. So how do we talk to our AI tool? Okay, so most of us today are using either ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, or Copilot, or a combination of all 4 to help us with our content creation. And in each of those tools, you have the ability to train it in, as we said, your voice, to train it with your values, to train it how you would like you or your team to respond to clients, the perspective that you take, your outlook, your values, again, within the context of whatever it is that you're using that tool for. You can split up into folders. If you have multiple clients or you work on different projects that are totally different, you can split it up into projects, and you can train each project, each folder in its own voice, its own value system, its own experience, etc. So you're not limited in terms of you can only use one AI tool for one client or one project. You can use it across the board. You just need to know how to train it accordingly. The same with GPTs. You can create a GPT or Gemini Gem, or I don't know even what they're called in Claude, to help you with your processes, and you can have different ones for different clients, projects, etc. and you train them all accordingly. How do you train your AI tool? You tell it. You upload documents. You upload previous pieces of content. You talk to it. You share it. You ask it questions. You ask it to ask you questions. And slowly and surely, the more that you use it and the more information you give it, the more it will be aligned with who you are. Be polite, right? So that's something that I choose to do. I know some people prefer to keep their AI tool there, as a tool, the same way they wouldn't talk back to their, I don't know, Outlook or Google Doc or whatever. They don't talk to AI that same way. I prefer to always be polite. I am pretty polite as a person. I always say please. I always say thank you. I always say kindly. I always say, would you mind? And that's really how I talk to the tool, not only because that's who I am, but I want it to be more aware and to be trained and understand that that is my expectation. That's the voice and that's how I talk. That's the real me. I am polite. Prompting is critical. If you prompt very generically, you're going to get generic output. Okay. An example of that, let me see. So let's say I'm looking to make something new for Shabbat dinner. Okay. And I know that I want it to be meat. So I write a prompt and I say, please share a recipe for a really delicious meat dish that I can share on Friday night. Okay. And what does it send me? It sends me pork cooked in butter, right? Which is not useful to me at all. But I never told the app, I never wrote in my prompt that it needs to be kosher. It needs to be a specific cut of meat. I want ground meat because I really am looking to make, something with ground meat because that's what I have in my freezer, as opposed to, some brisket or whatever the other cut you have is. And so the more that you learn to prompt in detail, the better output you will get. So prompting is actually critical. And the next thing that you do after you've written the prompt, before you press enter, you write, before you generate whatever I've asked you, do you have any questions to ask me? And then the tool will either say, yes, please, can you tell me? It will send you a list of questions which you can answer each one, and it'll help the tool to further understand and to really drill down to give you the output that really can be beneficial to you. Or it'll say, no, thanks, I have all the information I need. Can I go ahead? And you write yes, and it goes ahead. The other thing to remember is that AI is your first draft partner. It's not your final voice. Even if you like using it just to help you brainstorm and it comes up with something brilliant, before you just go and copy and paste, make sure that what you're copying and pasting is really you in your voice. And I generally tell people there's always something that can be tweaked. Tweak it to really make it you, instead of taking it word for word. And be transparent. Yes, we're talking mainly today about content as in captions and blogs and the written part. If you're using AI tools for graphics, for picture generation, etc., it's okay to put a photo credit and write AI generated, because not always, but a lot of the time people will know what's AI and what's not, or sometimes they're just totally confused and they just don't trust anything. But if they know that you consistently tell them what's AI and what's not, they're going to trust you because you've been transparent. The other thing is, when you're working with clients, be transparent with them too that you're using AI. Clients aren't put off by that. They want to know that you're keeping up with the trends and the times. They want to know that you're being the most efficient that you can be, right? And there's a way of also using it to your client's benefit too. For instance, let's say you would write 5 articles for them, and those 5 articles would actually take you a week. But now with AI helping you with the ideation and with the editing and with, I don't know, helping you with scripting, whatever it is that you're using it for, you can now do those 5 articles instead of in a week, you can do them in 3 days. So now you can either take on another 3 clients, or you can say, you know what? I can now give you, instead of giving you 5 in a week, I'm not going to give you 8 in a week. So they're also benefiting. Everybody will benefit from you being transparent and honest. So when do we use AI? We use AI to brainstorm ideas. Again, you have some weird, wonky idea, or you see something that inspired you, you throw it into AI, you kind of give them the rough outline of what it is that you're looking for, and it starts working with you to brainstorm ideas and to start to formulate and like an outline. And the same goes for structuring messy thoughts. You have like these crazy ideas and you're not sure where to go with it, or what's the best application, or should you do this or should you do that, or it's just like what I call a brain dump. You can dump it all into AI and you can ask it to help you make saddle, to make how do you say that in English? To make sense of it, to make a, I can't think of the English word. To structure it, I guess. You can ask it to help you with outlines and frameworks. For instance, when I was starting to plan this presentation tonight, I went to my AI tool, and I actually went to 2 tools because I often do that, and then I take the best from both. Or if one doesn't give me a great output, I just continue with the second. And sometimes I use only one and then paste that into a second AI tool and ask it for its opinion. And sometimes you get some really, really, really cool and interesting output from that. So I went to AI. I said, this is the presentation. This is what I'm talking about. These are the kind of points that I want to cover. Just help me like structure, like throw out some headlines that I can use as as examples. And I didn't take them all, but I definitely took some of them, and some of them I changed a little bit. But that was how I built the outline and the framework for this talk tonight. Another great use of AI is to repurpose content. So let's say you've got an article that you wrote for the JNS, Sharon, and it's, I don't know, 1,000 words. And you're like, wow, I could really use this for my own social media presence. But you don't want to just post a blog. And anyway, maybe I don't know how it works with copyright and whatever else, but you could take that and you can put it into AI and say, please, can you extract 5 short posts for LinkedIn based on this article that I wrote? And it'll take it, it'll break it up, it'll give you little sections. And again, some of it you can probably use as it is, and a lot of it will probably still need a little bit of editing and tweaking to make sure that it's still authentically your style of writing, your input, etc. Then we have summaries, which is more like admin tools like, again, Fathom AI. There are a few of them that will record and take either from like a Zoom like this, or you can record just a voice and it will summarize the whole meeting for you. It'll send out AIs, it'll send out the top whatever it is, and then it will also share with you the full summary. You can use it for headline testing, headline and hooks. That's a big one. I'll often be like trying to write out hooks because I really want them to be smart and catchy and to really stop the person scrolling. And I'll put it into AI. I'll say, these are the 5, hooks. What do you think of them and how can I sharpen them? And it'll give me ideas. And again, not all of it do I use, but some of it I definitely do. It really helps you to just like shine it, for want of a better word. And then operational systems, which I'm not going to get into now, but there are all sorts of AI tools to do all sorts of various things to lighten up your load when it comes to operations and admin and all that kind of stuff. When not to use AI, when it's something to do with personal grief, when it's raw storytelling, because again, AI is only limited to the depth in which you have trained it, to the extent in which you have trained it. It doesn't know about your personal experience that happened to you when you were 5 years old that maybe impacted something that, in a raw story. Conflict is a little bit of a gray area. There are times when it is definitely very useful to use AI. For instance, I'll give you an example myself. I'm a very emotional person, and sometimes I'll get upset or angry about something, and I write the email or the message or whatever it is, and then I'll put it into AI and say, is this professional? This is what I need to do. This is how I need to sound. And I ask it to help me like tone it down so it's appropriate for whatever the context is. So conflict can sometimes still be, it can still be very beneficial to use AI, but you need to be careful. When you're dealing with sensitive moments within a community, within your family, whatever it is, and thought leadership that really requires conviction. Like you need to really believe in what you're saying, and you need to have that thought leadership, that background, that experience, etc. Like AI is not going to really help you with that. It can help you maybe again neaten it up or like sort out your ideas, but that really needs to come from you, from your heart, from the real you. Okay. So what do we use AI for? We write the messy 100% you version and then we refine it with AI. And again, sometimes you refine it with AI and it becomes too AI. I will sometimes write something, I'll put it into AI and I'll say to the tool, edit very gently and only when necessary. Because I really want to keep my voice, but sometimes maybe I don't know, the punctuation, the sentence structure, whatever it is, or maybe once or twice I've repeated the word, so it gives you an alternative, like for that kind of thing. But that real message has to come from you. So your AI checklist, sorry, before you put anything out that AI has helped you with, you ask yourself, would I ever stand up in a room full of colleagues or clients and say this? Would I say it in those words, in that tone? Is that me? Does that sound like me? You then ask, does it reflect my real values and beliefs? Because maybe AI misunderstood it, or it understood it differently, or it distorted it slightly, or it used it in a way that, yeah, that is one of your beliefs, but it doesn't come across in the way that you would have shared that value or belief. Is there at least one sentence in this caption, blog post, article, whatever, that only I could ever have written? Or is it all just AI sounding or other people sounding? Like, is there real, genuine me in there? And the last one is, where in this am I? So you need to double check your sources. It's very important that you double check sources because AI is very notorious for making up garbage when it doesn't have the information. So double check your sources. For checking sources, my favorite go-to is a tool called Perplexity because it gives you links to wherever it drew that information. And then you can go to that same source and just double check it. And like I said, also, sometimes I'll take output from one tool and check it in a second tool. People follow people, not algorithms. Yes, we need to warm that algorithm. We need to kickstart the algorithm. Yes, we need to get that algorithm to share our content and favor our content. But it doesn't matter if the algorithm favors your content and shares it with a million people, and those people have zero reason to connect with you or zero desire to connect with you. It's not going to help you in any way. So again, people follow people. They follow real and authentic. Curated is so yesterday. Gone are the days of a beautiful curated Instagram feed grid where everything was planned out, and sometimes there's like a whole picture with all the different posts, and gone are the filters. People are not interested in the makeup filters and everything anymore. Even influencer marketing. Do you know how many people say to me, well, so and so shared this, but you know, she's an influencer. I'm sure she got paid to say what she's saying. She doesn't really mean it. People today want the messy, they want the real, they want the behind the scenes. They want to see you with, you know, the pimple on your face that you came from nowhere because you're definitely not a teenager, right? They want to see real you. When we're talking about content creation, I always tell my clients that there's a difference between a content creator and a business that's using social media to grow its business, to show up as, you know, the experts, etc. Content creator, if you look at all the really big content creators like Mr. Beast, like Casey Neistat, like all these people, what are they sharing with you? I'm not going to say that what they're sharing is not edited, because it definitely is edited, but it's like they're having a conversation with their wife about how they nearly got divorced, and they're sharing that with the world, right? Or Casey Neistat, for instance, I saw today he posted, and that's what really made him famous all those years ago, was he goes out in these crazy snowstorms in New York and does the most ridiculous things, right? And that's what people are following. That's what people want to see. They want to see, you know, the messy, the dirty, that they, and even then, all these content creators are still editing. It's not like you're seeing everything. They're choosing what they're going to share with you, but they're doing it without, you know, a full face of makeup, and they're sharing with you that, you know, they had a really bad day yesterday because three of their four children had a meltdown, and then, you know, the plumbing blocked up and they couldn't get a plumber because of what, like, that's what people want to see. They want to see that you're normal, that you're human, that you also struggle. Nothing is perfect and nobody is perfect, and people do not want to see this perfect, pretend, non-existent, unauthentic world anymore.
Martine,
Yes.
5 minutes.
Okay, we're nearly done. Okay. Don't ever use the M dash, and remove all the buzzwords. The M dash, even if you always used it, that you've written like that for years, stop using it, because people will immediately think that that is AI. Respond. You cannot automate the connection. There are tools out there like ManyChat, etc., that are very efficient for a specific kind of response, or like an AI chatbot that you sometimes have, like, because people need some, you know, general information. What time does the clinic open? I can't get, you know, how do I get my results? I don't remember when I booked an appointment for my massage, whatever it is, and that a bot can answer you. But when it comes to responding to comments and DMs, you need to do that yourself. A bot cannot respond for you. An AI tool cannot respond for you. And I, as a social media manager, very seldom do community management, which means responding to other people or commenting on other people's posts, because I don't know the connection that you had with Mary Jane, that she was at school with you. You were besties at school. You haven't spoken for 15 years. She shows up on your feed. She makes some kind of esoteric comment that only you would understand because you were the one that was at high school with her. And then I go and respond to it, and it's going to sound weird and really doesn't make any sense, and it's not authentic, and people aren't interested. They don't want that. So please do not use AI to respond to comments or DMs, that kind of thing. So in a world of infinite content, your taste, your style, your truth are your only remaining competitive advantages. Use AI, use it to help you to become better, more efficient, sharper, etc., but always be you. Make sure whatever you're putting out there is still you. We're not competing with AI. We're competing with inauthenticity. So the real work that we all have to do is know who you are and be you no matter what. And that's it. I'm sharing also, there's a QR code here if anybody would like to scan the QR code, and it will take you straight to my WhatsApp.